By the end of this video, you'll be able to read this passage in Arabic with full understanding. The way that we do things here is I'll read the entire passage in Arabic, and then I'll talk through it word for word, and then I'll read the entire passage at the very end again, so you can check your understanding and see if I've done my job properly. وَكَانَ أَبُوهُ يَعْقُوبُ نَبِيًّا فَرِحَ يَعْقُوبُ بِهَذِهِ الرُّؤْيَا كَثِيرًا وَقَالَ بَارَكَ اللَّهُ لَكَ يَا يُوسُف فَسَيَكُونُ لَكَ شَأْنٌ هذه الرؤيا بشارة بعلم ونبوة وقد أنعم الله على جدك إسحاق وقد أنعم الله على جدك إبراهيم وإنه ينعم عليك وينعم على آل يعقوب وكان يعقوب شيخا كبيرا وكان يعرف طبائع الناس وكان يعرف كيف يغلب الشيطان وكيف يلعب الشيطان بالناس فقال يا ولدي لا تخبر بهذه الرؤيا أحدا من إخوتك فإنهم يحسدونك ويكونون لك عدوا. Bismillah. So, we begin with وَكَانَ أَبُوهُ يَعْقُوبُ نَبِيًّا. So let's actually go back to the previous one actually. So in the previous lesson, we actually ended with Yusuf alayhi salam confiding in his father. Okay, he went to his father and he said, "Ya abati, oh my father, I've seen this vision. Okay, of the ahada ashara kawkaban wa shamsa wal qamar, the 11 planets and the sun and the moon prostrating to him." So then we have kind of setting the scene of kana abuhu, his father was. So his father Ya'qub rather was Nabiyan. Okay, Nabiyan, because this is what we call khabar kana. So it is the khabar of the verb kana. So it has fathas on the end. His father Ya'qub was a prophet. Fariha Ya'qub bihadihi ru'ya. The verb fariha in the present tense yafrahu, it means to rejoice, to be happy, to rejoice in something. But you use fariha bi, to rejoice in something. Fariha bi something. So Ya'qub rejoiced or was happy. بِهَذِهِ ru'ya. He was happy with this ru'ya. He was happy with this vision. كَثِيرًا. Not a little bit, not قَلِيلًا, but كَثِيرًا. He was very happy with this vision. وَقَالَ بَارَكَ اللَّهُ لَكَ. Allah has blessed you. Okay? The verb baraka is actually a past tense verb. We use it as a dua often. Like the way in English when we say, may Allah do this thing, Arabic does that in a slightly different way. Like Arabic might do this with an imperative maybe, but we don't want to issue imperatives to Allah. We don't want to say to Allah, barik. We rarely do that. There are some ad'iyah and stuff where we may do that. But yeah, but usually when you're kind of making a dua for someone, you say, barakallahu feek. Like, may Allah bless you. But in this case, it seems like Ya'qub is actually saying, Allah has blessed you, ya Yusuf. Okay? فَسَيَكُونُ لَكَ شَأْنٌ. So, فَسَيَكُونُ, there's a few different things going on in here. Fa is so, sa is will, yakunu is the present tense of kana. Okay, so kana, present tense yakunu. So it will be laka. It will be for you sha'nun. A sha'n is a matter, is an affair, is a thing that will happen. This will be a big deal for you. That's kind of what he's saying. هذه رؤيا. This ru'ya, this vision, bisharatun, okay, is a bishara, is a glad tidings. Many of you probably know people with names that are similar to this. Bashir and Bushra. The man's name can be Bashir, woman's Bushra. It means kind of glad tidings. This is a glad tidings of what? Bi'ilm, of glad tidings of knowledge, wa nabuwa, and prophethood. قَدْ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ. Allah has an'ama. Okay, you've maybe heard the word ni'mah before. A ni'mah is a blessing, but the verb an'ama, it means to bless somebody else. So, وَقَدْ أَنْعَمَ. An'ama, certainly, أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ. Certainly Allah has blessed عَلَى جَدِّكَ, upon your grandfather Ishaq. وَقَدْ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَى جَدِّكَ Ibrahim. Okay, so we get the idea of the family tree here. Okay, so Ya'qub. Okay, imagine for the sake of argument in the family tree, I'm like in the position of Ya'qub alayhi salam, and I'm saying to my son Yusuf, I actually do have a son called Yusuf, I say to my son Yusuf, and Allah has blessed upon your grandfather, okay, as in my father, so Ishaq's father, so Ya'qub's father is Ishaq, okay, and also your grandfather Ibrahim, Okay, so the family tree is like Ibrahim, Ishaq, Yaqub, Yusuf alayhi salam, or alayhim as-salam. All of those are prophets. Good. Innahu yun'imu alayka. Verily he, innahu, indeed he, yun'imu. So yun'imu is the present tense of an'ama. So we're actually seeing some different types of verbs going on here. So we're seeing verbs like kana, yakunu. We call that a hollow verb because it has a vowel in the middle. We're seeing what we call form 4 verbs like an'ama in the present tense, yun'imu. This is much like, have we seen other examples of this? Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. Other examples of form 4 verbs. I thought that we had actually. But I gave an example in previous lessons like the verb arada, yuridu, and in fact in lesson 1 we saw the verb ahabba, yuhibbu. So if it seems unusual to you that you're hearing a yu at the beginning of an'ama, yun'imu, think back to when I mentioned about the verb ahabba, to love, yuhibbu, he loves in the present. Indeed, he blesses upon you, and he blesses upon the family, ala ali Yaqub, upon the family, or the progeny, let's say, of Yaqub. Very nice. وَكَانَ يَعْقُوبُ شَيْخًا كَبِيرًا. You know how we saw at the very beginning of this passage, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُ يَعْقُوبُ نَبِيًّا. We have this exact same structure with kana here, but here we have وَكَانَ يَعْقُوبُ شَيْخًا كَبِيرًا. He was a big sheikh. Okay, Yaqub alayhi salam was a big sheikh. Okay, well, next we have وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ. But let's look at يَعْرِفُ first. So يَعْرِفُ is from the verb عَرَفَ يَعْرِفُ, and it means to know. Okay, there's another verb to know, isn't there? The verb عَلِمَ in the present tense, يَعْلَمُ. ما هو الفرق بينهما? So the difference between the two, lots of dictionaries just give the difference as being specifically about detail. That ilm is like detail, is like knowledge in detail. But the verb arafa is literally just about knowing what something is. Hence, like even in the Arabic language, you have the term ma'rifa for definiteness, right? And definiteness is just knowing that a thing is a thing, right? You know what it is, right? Okay. وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ, and he knew طَبَائِعَ النَّاسِ. He knew the طَبَائِعَ. So طَبَائِعَ is the plural of طَبِيعَ, which means the nature. طبيعة is a term that you can use like generally like in nature. طبيعة. أحب الطبيعة, I love nature, right? You can use it in Arabic just like that. But here we have طبائع الناس. We have the natures of the people. Okay, so he used to know كان يعرف طبائع الناس. He knew the natures, the dispositions of the people. وكان يعرف كيف يغلب الشيطان. And he knew how shaytan defeats. Okay, the verb ghalaba means to defeat. Allah actually uses it in the Quran in Surah Al-Rum after Alif Lam Mim. غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. The Romans have been defeated themselves. Okay, but here is actually the verb ghalaba, which means to defeat. If you're defeating somebody, or have victory, let's say. So he knew how shaytan has victory, how he defeats other people. Yeah, Allah uses it in Surah Al-Rum, doesn't he? غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. So the Romans have been defeated. غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم فِي أَدْنَى الْأَرْضِ وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ غَلَبِهِمْ سَيَغْلِبُونَ فِي بِضْعِ سِنِينَ. Yeah, so Allah actually uses it like 3 times in those few ayat at the beginning of Surah Al-Rum. The Surah of the Romans, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with like the Arabic sort of names and stuff. 30th Surah of the Quran, I believe. وَكَيْفَ يَلْعَبُ, and how يَلْعَبُ, from the verb لَعِبَ يَلْعَبُ, to play. الشَّيْطَانُ بِالنَّاسِ, how shaytan plays with the people. We've seen a couple of examples here where we actually have the preposition bi with a particular verb, haven't we? We saw فَرِحَ bi, meaning to rejoice in something. And then we also saw here يَلْعَبُ bi, something, how they play with something. So let me just translate that whole last bit then. So وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ كَيْفَ يَغْلِبُ الشَّيْطَانُ, and he knew how shaytan has victory. وَكَيْفَ يَلْعَبُ الشَّيْطَانُ بِالنَّاسِ, and how shaytan plays with mankind. And al-insan is like man, as in mankind. It's a singular though. It's kind of the concept of man. Nice. فَقَالَ يَا وَلَدِي, so he said, يَا وَلَدِي, he said, oh my boy, يَا وَلَدِي, لَا تُخْبِرْ. Very nice. So we have a negative imperative here. Do not تخبر. And the verb أخبر is another form for verb as well. We've seen a number of these now. أحب, أنعم, and now أخبر, which means to inform somebody about something. So the same way that أخبر goes to لا تخبر, is do not inform, from أخبر. بهذه الرؤيا, subhanallah, we have another verb with به as the preposition with it. Do not inform of هذه الرؤيا, do not inform of this vision, أحدا, do not inform anyone. The ahad, it means anyone, right? But we have kind of two words in Arabic. For one, we have the number wahid, as if we're counting wahid, ithnan, thalath, arba'a. But we have the term ahad as well, which means a one, a being, a one. You can't say ahad, ithnan. You don't count on from it. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to himself in this manner, where we are commanded to say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ ahad. Say Allah is ahad. We don't say Allah is wahid, because that would imply that there can also be a thani and a thalith and a rabi'. There can be a second, a third, and a fourth. But a ahad is just a one, right? Yes, it's the one that we use, much like in English when we say someone, anyone, things like that. They use the term ahad for that. I remember being in the gym in Palestine, and I think I said something like, أي واحد يستخدم هذا? Like, is anybody using this? When I don't know, whatever I was trying to lift. And they corrected me. They were like, ahad. They don't say a wahid, say had, anyone. But the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam is advising Yusuf here, do not inform, لا تخبر بهذه الرؤيا. Do not inform of this vision, أحدا, anybody. من إخوتك, from your brothers. There was a comment on a previous video, why doesn't this passage use إخوان instead of إخوة? So for these purposes, إخوان and إخوة are basically synonymous there. Though they are two perfectly fine plurals of the word for brother, أخ. فإنهم, so, inna, verily, hum, they. So, verily they, or as for the fact that they, يحسدونك. Okay, the verb hasada, يحسد, meaning to have, to be envious, okay, to have envy. Hasad is envy. A hasid is somebody who is envious. That's one that here in Somalia always confused me. Here in Somalia, the term hasid exists in the Somali language, but it doesn't mean like jealous, though. It just means horrible. Of hasid out tahay. You're a horrible person. Of hasid out tahay. It just means someone's horrible. It doesn't mean they're jealous. Anyway, وَيَكُونُونَ لَكَ, and they are to you عَدُوًا. An adu means an enemy. Very nice. So, well, what should we do here? Okay, the next thing to do is just to read through this entire passage, inshallah. Maybe I'll give you some important keywords actually first, just before I do that though, just as a reminder. So, the word bisharatun, I think is quite nice. Bishara is a bashir. It's a good news. Yes. What else? The verb an'ama means to bless, and you use an'ama ala something. You bless upon something. Very nice. The verb ghalaba, present in yaghlibu, means to defeat. And the verb akhbara means to inform, but in this case, la tukhbir, do not inform. So let me read through the whole thing, inshallah, and then we'll just conclude the episode. Bismillah. وَكَانَ يَعْقُوبُ It's a mistake already, astaghfirullah. Okay, we'll start again. I'm not going to cut that out, I'm just gonna go again. وَكَانَ أَبُوهُ يَعْقُوبُ نَبِيًّا فَرِحَ يَعْقُوبُ بِهَذِهِ الرُّؤْيَا كَثِيرًا وقال بارك الله لك يا يوسف فسيكون لك شأن. هذه الرؤيا بشارة بعلم ونبوة، وقد أنعم الله على جدك إسحاق، وقد أنعم الله على جدك إبراهيم، وإنه ينعم عليك وينعم على آل يعقوب. وكان يعقوب شيخا كبيرا، وكان يعرف طبائع الناس، وكان يعرف كيف يغلب الشيطان، وكيف يلعب الشيطان بالإنسان. فقال يا ولدي لا تخبر بهذه الرؤيا أحدا من إخوتك فإنهم يحسدونك ويكونون لك عدوا